Well, boys, we finally got what we wished for. Harris's undefeated season finally comes to a close. Captain, long last, gets his first victory. And last but not least, if you combine the amount of wins Hagen has with the amount of dog treats he's eaten for losing a bet, it still comes up short of the number of episodes the Put It on the Board segment lasted before the network axed it. Because obviously, 0 is less than 1. This is the Week 6 Weekly Wrap-Up.
I'd like to start this wrap-up with a special thanks to Adam High School Hope for being our inaugural guest and setting a very high standard for those who follow. The last time I saw a Pledge Brother deliver that strong of a performance, I was standing on the new edition watching the Pringle can in action. Good luck to those who are willing to face the challenge of following up Hope's nice performance. So don't look now, but today officially marks the halfway point of the regular season. If you recall, before the Panthers and the Broncos even took the field to kick off the 2016 season, I claimed that this year would be the most competitive and exciting season in the League of Fraternal Gentlemen history. And I also forewarned the fine members of this league to watch out, because this could be the year of the Virgo. No one's predicted the future with such accuracy since Madame Zeroni foresaw a curse being put on the Yelnuts family. The league has never seen such an even balance of power, with over half the teams within one game of being 500, and in addition to a beefed up middle tier, first place Lynn Squan has only outscored 11th place 2008 Detroit Lions by a measly 50 points. Hey Evan, how do you say overrated in Mexican?
Sobrevalorado.
So speaking of overrated, let's get right into the games of the weekend. First up, we have Harrisley Clinton's epic undefeated start to the season finally coming to a halt. Reed's Rascals beat up on his old buddy 110-72. It was a must-needed victory for the Dallas Dork, and it put him right there in the middle of the pack. They are polar opposites on their schedules this far this season. Between these two Oklahoma City cross lovers, this was the first time all season Harris faced someone who had over 82 points in a game, while Hayes hadn't faced anyone who had scored less than 90. So Harris couldn't have asked for a better start. After rattling off 5 straight victories, with 7 regular season games remaining, Harris only needs 2 W's to top his highest total for total wins in the last 5 years. He's hoping this loss is only a minor setback in his quest for his first playoff appearance of the modern era. But the stats show there could be some big regression as he ranks in the bottom half of the league in total points scored. There was some positive out of this game though for Harris. This loss means Leo finally can get a break from the peanut butter popsicles. So maybe him and Hagen can find some other dog treats to snack on. Hayes, it was a very solid performance for Hayes. He had this game circled on his schedule since the schedule was released. And he made sure his boys were ready to show up. Colin's star wideout hadn't had a game with over 100 yards and a touchdown on the whole season. And you know what? This game OBJ did it twice. You know, anytime Harris and Hayes are mentioned together, there's always going to be some sort of BJ going around. Hayes' total this week was almost as high as he scored the past 2 weeks combined. Victory always tastes sweet, but you know this one was even sweeter. Maybe that explains Colin's text asking Andy if he ate pineapples this week. The other big news of the week was that we no longer have a winless team outside of Kansas City. The Detroit Lions from 2008 defeated Who is Matt Jones 113-64. I like the name change, Keenan. Captain, hip hip hooray. Evan won a game. Dating back to last season, Crafton has lost 10 of his last 12 games. So you know this win was long awaited. Lamar Miller scored his first TD of the season and enjoyed it so much that he did it again. And Golden Tate scored twice as many points in week 6 than he had in the first 5 weeks combined. We were all starting to wonder if the Golden Shower had a pulse. The captain always is rejuvenated in that Golden Shower. You know what, Keenan? After putting up 100 points in weeks 2 and 3, you haven't topped 76. And now you're the victim of 3 straight losses. Looking at the box score and the starting lineups, it was a little bit confusing figuring out which one of these guys was the winless team coming into it. Much like his QB and the guy he chose with the first overall selection of the draft, Aaron Rodgers. There are some major struggles going on with Keenan, and there might be a little cause for panic. None of his wideouts scored double digits this week, which is usually his nice little anchor that he falls back on. Hopefully a team name change can bring some good luck with it, because your old team name had to have been one of the worst ones I've seen since Roe versus Wade Phillips. It's been a downhill slide for Keenan. After going 10-3 and finishing in 3rd place in his inaugural season, which also happened to be the year Barlow had his lone toilet bowl victory. Actually, he didn't win, but he got 10th place and finished behind Harris. Sorry, brother. With your team being so good this season, I need to throw salt at you at some point. Well, we've got the salt shaker out. How salty was it to see Jamal Charles score his first TD in a year? I got hard on the second I saw that run. Meyer loves the Ditka. Just dominated Freaks and Zeeks 126-90. Some positive news, Sanders saw his tight end score over 5 points for the second time on the season, although it was only 8 points. But his receiver combo of Julian Edelman, Travis Benjamin, and Will Fuller combined for a measly 2 points. Yes, that's right. They didn't score 2 points each. They had 3, 0, and -1 respectively. To put that in perspective, there were 39 free agent wide receivers alone who outscored his starters combined. Thanks for that research, Xander. Since trading C. Mike and A-Rob for LeGarrette Blount, no wonder Xander wanted him, and Will Fuller to his cross-state rival, the Haserby, the only time his former players outscored his new ones were when the former ones were on a bye. Hayes' dick has to be super dirty after that trade rate. Having 6 of his 9 starters scoring double digits, including 65 points from LaShawn the Boy McCoy and Brandon Cooks, Raleigh had the recipe that led him to matching a season high and the week high for the league with 126 points. His team weekly point total has gradually increased since he dropped that horrendous 62 in week 2. Speaking of embarrassing, inside Poncher's asshole just was ruthless on that Billy Goat's ass. 113-64. To say Donald Trump is on a tear would almost not even do his performance justice. He scored 100 points or more in every single game on the season, and he's scored 100 points more than the next closest team to him, and 225 points more than Hagan. Even during a week that Gurley and Le'Veon combined for 20 points, which I mean most people would take out of some running backs, but with these guys you don't. he still managed to pull out the victory and have the third highest score of the week. For Bill, after 2 straight triple-digit performances to open the season, Bootstrap Bill is looking to find some consistency after failing to reach 70 points for a second week in a row. To put that in perspective, he has less points than Hagen's small ass in 3 out of the last 4 weeks. We haven't seen someone look this lost in the state of Florida since they deported Alien Gonzalez. Speaking of people who you might think were lost, given his old age, you might assume that Blue, the next winner, would be lost at sea as well. But once again, he keeps surprising us. Polanski Saggy Balls won 119 to 96 over Ed Hockey's biceps. Blue is getting so forgetful, he doesn't know right from left, but it doesn't matter. If the sun keeps rising for the west, he just smokes some green and looks breezy cool and robs another win from McGowan. He's going to be happy. In case you missed it, that was an association to him having Terrence West, AJ Green, Drew Brees, and Rob Gronkowski as combined their names in there, trying to get witty. With 400-plus point performances for the old man and the third most points in the league, Blue hasn't had a fantasy team look this good since Joe McNamath was in the league. Muff. After stuffing that muff all up in the Whiskey Troll's face, and ruining his perfect season, sorry about that, McGowan tripped up on all the scrotum skin hanging down from Polanski's saggy balls. It's a little embarrassing that Fleener the Wiener had as many rushing touchdowns as your running backs and receivers had combined total touchdowns from anywhere on the field. He does deserve some credit, though, for snagging Marcus Mariota up. It's interesting to see that he has the same number of white quarterbacks as Hagen's number of total wins on the year. Zilch. Which segues us into our last matchup, which surprisingly had both the Fratasy and UG to be kidding me play of the week. So let's start with the good before we get to the bad and the ugly. For Virgo, with Decker landing on the IR and Mike Evans on a bye, the Whiskey Troll finally decided mid-October was a good time to part ways with the Chiefs practice squad player Shontavis Jones from his roster. That is correct. He's had him all year since he drafted him. However, unlike his opponent, more on this in a second, the West Coast Wedge decided to look outside of his backyard and went with Terrence Williams as a fill-in. His 7 points were just enough to sneak Virgo a victory and earn him this week's Fratasy Move of the Week. You are just killing me, Smalls. After 5 3/4 of weekly wrap-ups so far this year, I think we're all well aware of the fact that Hagen has won the same amount of games this season as Cochran, Voth, and Nick Ruggieri. Just when you start feeling bad for him, he goes and has a week like this. Before the games even kicked off, Hagen failed to live up to his end of the bet, and the only Scooby snacks he had this week were from the nasty-ass cash bowls he was ripping out. Therefore, ending the Put It on the Board segment that showed a lot of promise from the vastly popular pilot episode. To put the icing on the cake were his free agency pickups. A week after his Fozzie Whitaker pickup cost him the game, you'd think maybe, just maybe, he would make a wiser decision on who to go with this time around. Instead of a player with upside like, Jay Ajayi, 42 points, he made a wise Cole Beasley pickup. I'll give him that. And he would have won the game had he started him. But then he went and picked up a Raiders running back, Jalen Richard, to start alongside his other Raider, Amari Cooper. In the week they were playing the Chiefs, he ended up with a whopping goose egg, and Hagan is 0-6. Come on, man. You G to be kidding me. Now that Captain and Harris have finally ended their streaks after 6 weeks of football, we'll all be able to collectively sit back and watch to see what garbage player will suit up for Hagan's squad each and every week. After digging into the league's record book, I found that the worst record in league history is 2-11, and it's happened twice. First time by none other than Sam Hagan, when his team name was the Microscopic Daywalkers. Maybe that was your problem. In 2011. And most recently by Colin Hayes, the real McCoys, in 2014. I'm happy I already got my slaughter out of the way, because if Hagan does manage to beat someone, I can't imagine how long the quick hits list will be following that week. Next up on his schedule is Xander, but Hagan will be without Big Ben, Eddie Lacy, and potentially Theo Riddick due to injuries, and Cam is on bye. So this should be really funny to see what players Hagan tries to plug. I'd be remiss if I didn't give another shout out to Adam Hope for being our first guest of the weekly wrap-up. To say he set the bar high would be an understatement. Hope set the bar even higher than Harris gets on a Tuesday night when he's got the Xbox One to himself, Leo sitting by his side, and his girlfriend's all tucked up in bed. So this week's guest, let me introduce him here for you. This week's guest hails from Overland Park. He likes to drink summer shandy in the winter. He once butt-chugged a Mike's Hard Lemonade because he thought it would kind of be like that European thingy that cleans out your butt. And he might be the closest thing to a twin that Ken Bone has. Who's ready for the week hits? Quick hits!
Hey boys, it's 101 The Fonch with your weekly quick hits. Ryan, I appreciate the opportunity for the guest spot. Adam, Colin, you guys did a phenomenal job. I'm going to try and keep this train rolling, but if we all know me, I'm going to fuck it up and make this not funny. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen. So here we go, guys, your weekly quick hits. Peanut Butter Dick playing Panthers D against the New Orleans offense was so fucking stupid. Just fucking dumb. I'm not sure who deserves GDI of the week more. Is it Harris for playing the Panthers D, or is it Hagan for just now figuring out how the waiver wire works? Either way, both fucking suck at fantasy. Hagan got 8 points total out of all of his running backs, bench included. Lower than his number of traffic tickets, yet still higher than his KMC basketball average. Keenan running a beer mile, Sam eating a dog treat, and captain's team making it to 500. Oh, sorry. Just listing out the things that would probably never happen. The real Andy Harris finally stood up, then proceeded to quickly bend over and take one from his D-Town boyfriend. Colin's got bitch arms. What the fuck, guys? Can't understand Lee seemingly submitted to the 3-time champ, relying heavily on Will Fuller to guarantee his loss. I mean, come on, you can't at least get a guy who's playing? Pledge tests aren't the only thing this guy can't understand. Damn, guys, that was like 7 fucking years ago. After taking facials all season, Colin was finally able to let loose a 6-stinger right in the back of Andy's throat. Blue saggy balls relied heavily on the breeze to keep McGowan at bay. Let's hope he washes those things before taking it to Poncher's asshole this week. Damn, that's really unfortunate that I'm reading that. Captain beat Keenan in what could be a preview of this year's toilet bowl. Oh, wait, Hagan. Myers' Ditka fetish was a little too freaky for Xander. How is Poncher the only one out of all of us married? I guess we're all going to die alone. Damn, that's weird. Who wrote that? And for Blues Weekly Knee Slapper. The only knee slapper that I have right now is that I want everyone in the league to understand that the most confusing day in the ghetto each year is Father's Day. You're not wrong, Blue. And why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7 was a well-known sex offender. Well, guys, that's it for your weekly quick hits. If anyone wants to know the Best Friends Fantasy League, the other more competitive 10-team league out of our Pledge Brothers, yours truly is undefeated, the lone standing undefeated team. I know you guys are all dying to know, so I'll just let you know. But until next week, I hope whoever follows me can do as shitty job as I did.